So this is the instructor's view of Piazza when they sign in. You can see the class at a glance on the right side of the screen and the Q&A feed on the left, and we'll get to the Q&A feed in a second. The class at a glance shows a snapshot of the activity in your class. So you see the number of unread posts, etc., as well as some numbers on the total amount of activity here. You also see a progress bar on student enrollment, which will give you an idea of, for example, if very few of your students in a large course have signed up, then you'll know that it will be helpful to let your students know that they need to sign up for Piazza. Here you can also see some links for downloading our free apps in the App Store and in Google Play, so your students can download an app if they have an iPhone or an Android device, as well as some additional messaging to professors down here. So now we'll jump into the Q&A feed, and we'll talk about the different types of posts that you and your students can create in Piazza. Here is an example of a question, which is probably the most common type of post, since students will generally be asking questions on Piazza and instructors will generally be posting notes. A question requires answers down below. So you'll see that this student has asked how to do a specific homework problem. You can see here that Piazza supports LaTeX, which is great for math, physics, and engineering courses. Here you can see that an instructor has endorsed this as a good question. And in fact, you can see the number of good question endorsements down below. So down below you can see the student's answer, and you can see that multiple students have contributed to this. So in other words, the student answer is wiki style. So let's say one student can go in and provide an answer, and some of his classmates can go in and also add to that answer, and so on. So this adds to the collaborative learning environment in your class where students can work together to come up with answers to each other's questions. And you can see that a professor has endorsed this answer, giving a stamp of approval saying that the answer is correct. In fact, there are 9 endorsements to this student's answer. The instructor has also decided to contribute their own answer. So in fact, it's easier to note that you can do this in a more easy way. So questions can have a student's answer, an instructor's answer, or in this case, both. These are all possible on Piazza. And finally, we see a follow-up discussions section, which, as the name implies, allows students to contribute follow-up comments or questions. So this student has asked a clarifying question to the instructor, and in fact, the rest of his classmates. And you can see that the student has asked this question anonymously. And this helps students who are perhaps more on the shy side, or students who are more hesitant to ask questions in class, maybe in lecture or otherwise. The anonymous functionality also removes implicit bias in posts and content posted to Piazza. So let's say you see a question that was created anonymously. The anonymity of that question removes any bias that you might have had by seeing the name attached to that question. So let's move on to our next type of post, which is notes. Instructors will typically be posting notes since they'll be giving information to their class rather than asking questions. So here, this instructor has decided to embed a video into this note. This is a YouTube video. And down below, you can see that since it's a note and not a question, there are no answers beneath the post, but that another instructor has decided to embed an image into a follow-up discussion. The last type of post is polls. A lot of instructors find that polls are helpful to use instead of clickers during class. So let's say an instructor would like to test in real time a body of students in a lecture's understanding of a concept that was just introduced during class. So let's say the instructor puts up the poll on the projector and asks the students to answer the poll with their mobile apps on their phones. Some instructors have their students do this. This is a way to gauge how well students are understanding a concept during lecture. This instructor has decided to use a poll to get a sense of a logistical item. And you can see the poll answers down below. There's a fair amount of customization that you can do with your polls. There are many settings that you can toggle when you create a new poll. And you can also download poll stats up here above. Another interesting thing about the Q&A feed, in general, posts are required to be attached to folders by default. You can turn that setting off if you would like to under the Manage Class tab, which we'll talk about later. But if I go ahead and click the Homework 1 folder beneath this post, I'll be able to see all of the posts that are attached to Homework 1. But posts can also be associated with multiple folders. Up here we can see that there are 5 new posts in Homework 2, so I'm going to click that and see that there are in fact 5 new posts in addition to one that I'd seen before. Here's an example of a post that's attached to multiple folders.
The next tab is the Resources tab. And in this tab you can upload any homework solutions you have, any lecture notes, general resources, any exams you want to upload, including your syllabus as well. Under the Course Information tab, you can add a description of your course. You can also add general information of your course and make any announcements. Under the Staff tab, you can add your information, your office hours, the location, and the time. And you can also add your TA's information. Under the Groups tab, this is where you can go and drop any groups in your course.
So next we have the Statistics tab. So the Statistics tab is a great way to be able to view and gauge participation in your course on Piazza. So the first thing you'll see when you click on Statistics tab is the just some usage trends for your course, and there are 2 views that you can toggle between. The first is unique users per day. There's also posts per day. Beneath that graph we have class at a glance, so this is what you first saw when you logged into your course, and then next to that we have top student contributors. And so these are students who are making a lot of noise on your course, either through posting questions, posting notes, answering questions, or answering polls. Beneath that we have top student askers, so these are students who are asking the most questions on Piazza. Then we have top student good question askers, so these are students who are asking questions and they're being marked as good questions by instructors and their peers. Then we have top student answerers, so these are the students who are answering the most questions on Piazza. Top student endorsed answerers, so it's a bit wordy, but what this means is students who are answering questions and they're being marked as good answers by instructors. So a lot of instructors will use this information maybe to recruit teaching assistants for the next iteration of the course. We have top student listeners, so students who might not be posting the most questions or answering questions, but they're clicking through the feed and viewing a lot of posts. Then we have the instructor participation report. So if you have a large teaching team with a lot of TAs, for example, this is a way that you can kind of see which TAs are spending a lot of time on Piazza and things like that. Then we have student participation report. The student participation report is a record of each student in the class. We have the days online statistic for each student, the number of posts they viewed, and then also contributions here, which is again anything from posting questions, notes, or answering polls. And then all the way at the top here, if you're interested, you can get your class statistics as a CSV file. There's a Piazza report for your unique class, and you can also bulk download poll statistics.
The last tab is the Manage Class tab. In this tab, this is where you can customize your class according to the needs of your course. Under Class Information, this is where you can add an access code by clicking on Add Access Code, entering the access code, and then clicking Save. This is where you can provide your students with the class sign-up link. If you just give this link to your students, they'll be able to self-enroll in the course. And then directly below that, you'll see Q&A settings. This is where you can disable anonymity. By default, anonymity is enabled. If you disable anonymity, this allows students they will still be able to post anonymously to their classmates, but you as the instructor can see their name attached to the post. And then under Configure Class Folders, this is where you can customize folders for your course. So you can add custom folders that aren't on there by default. So say you want to create a folder for a specific project in your course, you can just create the folder there and click Add. Under Enroll Professors and TAs, you can add your TA's email under the box and then click Add Instructors. Under Enroll Students, this is where you can enroll your students by also adding their email and clicking Add Students. You can also upload a CSV of the roster, or you can also give them the link that I showed you above under General Settings. Under Class Information, it's the sign up link. You can just give this link to your students and they will be able to self-enroll. Under Enable Group-Based Discussion, this is where you can create groups. So say you have a group project in your class, you create groups and students will be able to post directly to that group. Under Course Page Settings, this is related to the Resources tab. By default, all of your resources are private, but if you want to make them public, say you want to make announcements public, you can click on that and then click Save Changes. And as a note, all the information in your Q&A class is private, so it won't be public.